Welcome to Write with Love. I'm your host, Sarah Williams, best-selling author, speaker, and creative entrepreneur. Each week, I chat to passionate and inspiring authors about their journey in creative writing. Some are traditionally published, some do it themselves. Everyone's journey is different, and everyone has something interesting to say. We all love love and love what we do. Today's show is brought to you by our amazing fans and supporters on Patreon. If you'd like to help support the show and get some awesome bonus episodes, go to patreon.com/Sarah Williams Author to learn more. Now here's today's show. G'day, I'm Sarah Williams and thanks for joining me for episode 43 of Write with Love. I'm recording this on Saturday the 13th of October 2018 with a house full of kids because we have had some really bad storms here on the Sunshine Coast and it's still pouring down with rain outside. But I have to do this intro, so hopefully everyone will be quiet for the next few minutes. Fingers crossed. So just a reminder that I have 2 books available for pre-order at the moment. The Dairy Farmer's Daughter, which is the first in my new Heart of the Hinterland series, is out 28th of November 2018, and you can pre-order that one at www.booksletter2read.com/The Dairy Farmer's Daughter. And check out the 30-second book trailer on my website, YouTube, and social media if you want more information on my series. So do you love Australian rural romance? Annie Seaton, Suzanne Bellamy, S.E. Gilchrist, Anne B. Harrison, S.M. Spencer, Philippa Neffrey Clark and I have joined forces for a combined Kindle-only box set. Outback Hearts is a compilation of 6 of our favourite full-length novels and 1 new short story, and is available now to pre-order for 99 cents and will be live Amazon only December 1st, 2018. I plan on doing a lot of these box sets in the coming next year and onwards from there. So this will be the first one. So I'd really love if you could support. And 99 cents makes it cheaper than buying any of these books individually. If you would like to join me here in the usually sunny, beautiful Maleny hinterland, I am hosting a writer's retreat from May 31st until June 3rd, 2019. All the details are on my page, www.sarahwilliamsauthor.com/Maleny-writers-retreat, and Maleny is spelled M-A-L-E-N-Y. So we will be talking writing, craft, and having fun. And I will also show you all the steps involved in uploading a manuscript to distributors and how to professionally self-publish. And if you're an author who would like a shout out on the show for as little as $25, send an email to me at sarah@serenadepublishing.com or become a patron at www.patreon.com/Sarah Williams Author for more information. Next week, I'm chatting to Pamela Hart, who also writes as Pamela Freeman. And it's another amazing historical author who is also a teacher at the Australian Writers' Centre, and I got to meet her again live in person in Sydney earlier this year. But today's interview, I'm talking to Bernadette Rowley, who is the author of Fantasy Romance and was an absolute pleasure to chat to. So thanks for joining me today, and here's the interview. Today I'm chatting to Bernadette Rowley. Thanks for joining me, Bernadette.
Hi Sarah, thanks for having me.
No worries. So, can you tell us how you got into writing and your journey so far?
Well, I started off with children, with a picture book. After I had my last son, who I've got 3, and I had a problem with depression. So I looked around for something to do, and I did a children's picture book workshop over a period of months. From there, as the kids grew older, I got into fantasy, junior fiction, and then I moved to Townsville and had a year off my vet job and worked with Louise Cusack in the year of the novel. And at that stage, I tried writing a space opera for adults. I worked on 2 books with her with that, and because it was always a series. I can't write anything but series, and I love reading series. And she suggested I join the Romance Writers of Australia and write a romance or the start of a romance for a competition. And that's where Princess Avenger was born. And I think I went to my first conference in 2009, Romance Writers Australia. And in 2012, I was published with Penguin, with Princess Avenger.
Fantastic. So your stories are fantasy and paranormal romance, which just sounds awesome. Yeah. And you set them in the fantasy world of Thorius. Can you tell us about Thorius?
Thorius is just your typical fantasy world, if you're a fantasy reader. So we have sword and sorcery, we have political and palace intrigue, princesses, princes, kings, witches. I've got a shapeshifter in Princess Avenger, and he pops his head up every so often just to create havoc. I've got a dragon in my latest one. I don't know where that's going to go. And also in my latest book, The Master and the Sorceress, there are some hounds, some night hounds, which are actually on the side of good, but could easily be quite terrifying.
Fantastic. So you've got 7 books out in total, and so how does that kind of work? Is there more than one series, or are they standalones?
It's becoming a bit of a problem. When I first got published with Penguin Australia and the Destiny Romance imprint, they published Princess Avenger and The Lady's Choice. Awesome. With different covers.
Oh, right.
Obviously, because I've since self-published these. Then they struggled a little bit with the fantasy romance genre, and they found it difficult to promote. It's when rural romance was really getting taking off, and obviously contemporary as well. And so they didn't want any more from me. These are written as standalones, but it does enhance your reading enjoyment if they're read as I have written them, I believe. Then I thought, well, what am I going to do? You know, I've got these 2 books with Penguin Australia, or the Destiny Romance imprint is now no more, and it's been absorbed back into Penguin Australia. What am I going to do? So I pitched my next book, which is a mermaid romance, which I don't have a copy of because it's only an ebook. Thought, what can I write about? So I'd already written that that mermaid romance that Penguin didn't want, because the editor just couldn't get her head around how a mermaid was going to work in a romance. It is a really unusual story. It's called The Lord and the Mermaid. I pitched that to Pan Macmillan. It was actually the Momentum imprint, which started at the same time as the Destiny one did. And I got a 2-book offer, which I didn't expect. You know, when you're trying to go along with the same sort of like a series and trying to pitch it to a different publisher, everyone told me that wasn't going to happen. However, Pan Macmillan did want their own, start of their own series. So it was set in a coastal region of Thorius, and so we call it, and the capital city is Wildercoast, and that's where the king lives, so we called it the Wildercoast series. So I've got the start of the Bright Castle series, which is more of a rural, mountainous, forested area, and then I've got the Wildercoast series, which the first 2 books with Pan Macmillan are set in. And then their Momentum imprint went bust, and they didn't want to accept any more books either. So that's when I self-published.
Excellent.
I still got to the 2 books with Pan Macmillan, but in ebook format only. Brilliant. And the rest have been published by myself.
Excellent. So going forward, you're just going to self-publish from now on?
I believe so. I really love doing it, even though it's a lot of work, as you would know, and just being organised and fitting it in around everything and trying to get my head around promotion and getting news out there. But to be honest, you have to do that whether you're traditionally published or self-published, because no one does all the work for you unless you're huge. So I can pick my own covers. My cover artist is Katrina Joyner, and she's in the States, and she's done all of them so far. I found her with this one.
It's beautiful.
I just saw that and I went, that's the lady's choice. That's what. And then I said, can you purpose design other covers for me? And she said, sure. So then she came up with Princess Avenger. And that has the same model as book 2, which is Princess in Exile. So it was meant to be written as a trilogy, but that's another thing that Penguin didn't want. So I get to do what I want to do now, and then that story was able to be released.
Yeah, excellent.
So she does some beautiful covers. My favourite is the latest one, The Master and the Sorceress.
That is beautiful. The girl on the horse and the castle on the bottom. I do love that one.
Girl on the Horse, I actually wrote my story with that image in front of me all the time. So it was great that we could use it.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So you're independently publishing then, but you've still got a day job, don't you? You're still a vet.
I do. I'm working 30 hours a week in small animal practice, and I'm vet director at the practice. We're undergoing some challenges at the moment, so there's a lot of fair bit of stress and people leaving the industry, and there's always people leaving in the industry. But yeah, I have some really great clients, and I enjoy working with the little, puppies that come through. We get a lot of new clients, a lot of new puppies, but there's also the sad things and the busy days. So it's good to be able to head back, and I can't really do it the days I work because I'm too tired, but head back and just escape for a couple of days into my books. I have a minimum of 1,000 words a day that I like to write when I'm not at work, and I make sure that gets done first now, so I can get on to other things such as newsletters and my blog, emails, that sort of thing, house cleaning, helping my boys out still, because even though they're in their 20s, they still, that's what mums do.
That's it.
As in this morning, I was just reading through a resume this morning from my middle son, who's trying to get a different job. So, yeah, things take you away from it all the time, but as long as you've got that 1,000 words down, or more hopefully, but as long as you've got that minimum, you keep moving forward in your story, which is really important. I think that's something that I'd like to impress upon anyone starting out, is just to keep getting the words down. And that's something that was taught to me by Louise Cusack. You can't edit what isn't on the page.
That's it, exactly. And with being a vet, do animals, I mean, you're obviously an animal lover. We've seen your little cat walk across your bed a couple of times here. Do animals make it into your books very often?
They do. They're not your standard sort of dogs and cats. So I've got those night hounds that have reared their very scary fangs and retractable horrendous claws, but horses, I really love horses, so obviously that's a big part of that sort of world. That's how people got around, on horseback and in carriages. The Lady's Choice, this actually is my all-time favourite book because of the relationship that Bernadette, the heroine, has with her horse. She's actually a healer, which is another continuing theme in my books that I just obviously was never going to escape from. And she has a really close relationship with her stallion, and she's a mind healer, so she can delve into a body and fix things. And he breaks his leg, so at the time she's really uncertain that she can really be as effective at healing as she wants to be. She's trying to fix his leg so that he can survive. So and she can speak with him mind to mind. It's just a really beautiful relationship, and it reminds me of one of the horses that I raised from a baby back when I was a teenager and in my 20s.
Yeah, oh, fantastic. And so tell us, you just came back from the UK, and I've been looking at your website and looking at all these castles and everything. So a bit of research going on while you're over there.
I had to. It's more. It was more a filling the pot. When you're that creative, energy goes out into a book. You need to somehow have a break and top up all your creative well. So it was just beautiful scenery and stone walls and stone houses, and then the castles, taking you back to the sort of eras that similar technology to where my books are set, even though it's a fantasy world, and just so much inspiration. I took lots of photos of how castle walls were constructed, and we went to Loch Ness and saw the castle there, Urquhart Castle, which has been blown up way back when. But just putting yourself in that space. Or I'll draw lots of mental pictures from that when I get back into different books.
Yeah, absolutely. So what are you working on now, and what's coming out next?
I'm working on a book called The Elf Princess Warrior. The second book I have with Pan Macmillan is Elf King's Lady.
Yeah.
So it's actually a spin-off from that one. It's his half-sister, the hero's half-sister is the heroine in Elf Princess Warrior. And I'm having problems with my two series now that I started the Bright Castle saga. It's really got to finish with book 3, which is all around Princess Alicia, the heroine in that. So then the Wilderco saga starts with the Lord and the Mermaid and the Elf King's Lady. And because this is a spin-off on that, I really don't know what series to put this one into, because it's set in Bright Castle, but I think it's going to end up being like The Lady's Choice and being just a little side book, which then makes it very difficult for people to know what order to read things in. So everywhere you look, I've got my reading order. An elf princess whose king the king has been murdered. There's a civil war going on between her side that want peace, and the other elven side that wants to reclaim the kingdom, and she falls in love with a human, which is really not considered proper. It's a theme that we carried on from the Elf King's Lady. So, yeah. I don't know how it ends yet.
Stay tuned. That's awesome. So you're hoping it'll be out by the end of the year, though?
Yes, I'm hoping it will be out by the end of the year. My aim is to try and produce 2 books a year. And with my new scheme of making sure I knuckle under and get those words down, that should be doable. But this one is going to be a little bit longer, because I keep thinking, oh, it's nearly finished, and then no. You know what it's like.
That's it. Awesome. Well, where can we find you online?
Online, I have a blog, BernadetteRowley.com, and from there you can find me on Facebook, just Bernadette Rowley Fantasy, and I'm on Twitter as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for that, Bernadette. That was really fun.
Thank you. Thanks, Sarah. Bye for now.
Thanks for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed the show. Jump onto my website, sarahwilliamsauthor.com, and join my mailing list to receive a free preview of my books and lots of other inspiration. If you like the show and want it to continue, you can become a sponsor for just a couple of dollars a month. Go to patreon.com/Sarah Williams Author. And remember to follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and leave a review of the podcast. I'll be back next week with another loved up episode. Bye!